Crystal Bowman is a former preschool teacher and a best-selling award-winning author. She's written over 100 books for children and 4 nonfiction books for women. Today we're going to be talking to her about her latest books. One of the books is I Love You to the Stars, When Grandma Forgets, Love Remembers. I cannot wait to hear more about that one because that really tickles my fancy. And then My Arms Will Hold You Tight. And if we have time, we may just touch on Do Bears Have Mommies? So do stay with us. When we come back, a little bit more on our amazing author, Crystal Bowman, for today. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Writer's Corner live show where we elevate engagement and relationships with authors through live video. And no, we haven't lost our marbles. We know that the Writer's Corner live show always goes live on a Tuesday every single week. But we're doing a special broadcast in honor of World Book Day today. So welcome to the show. I'm your host, Bridgetti Limbanda from Cape Town in South Africa. And our stream is made possible by StreamYard, Creative Edge, and BeLive Media, helping you brand yourself better with video. And if you want to know when we go live next time, please go ahead and do follow our Facebook page. And over on our YouTube account, please click the notification button and the subscribe bell so that you also know when we go live on YouTube. So warm welcome if you're watching us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Periscope, on YouTube. Awesome to have you here. And so again, a reminder today, we're talking to the amazing best-selling author, Crystal Bowman, about her journey, and she's written over 100 children's books. But first, I want to give a very warm welcome to my friend and co-host, Mary Elizabeth Jackson. She is the Special Needs and Disabilities Advocate and also an award-winning author of the Poolicious children's book series. She lives in Nashville, in the USA, so do let us know where you're joining us from. And a side note, Mary's books are available on her website, www.maryejackson.com. So I'm going to ask you to please go and check out her books on her website because they are available. And so with that, I'm going to say hello and welcome, Mary. How are you?
Oh, thank you for that introduction. Yes, I like all the pleases. And yes, they are on my website. And my website is byintegritas.com. That's if you need a website, that's where you need to go. If you're looking for a great website, great designers, great hosts, great everything. Actually, I've been so super happy. And actually somebody messaged me the other day and said, I love your website, and that it was easy to maneuver through and they could find everything they needed to find. So that's kudos to the web designers, right?
Thank you so much. And so if you want to catch that link, it is www.integritas.com. But today we want to talk to Crystal Bowman.
Yes, we're excited.
I know, 100 children's books. Just wow. Can't even wrap my mind around how she's done that. So just by way of introduction, I know, as I said, I kept thinking 100. Really, that is such an amazing milestone. Just wow. So she's a former preschool teacher and a best-selling award-winning author. And as I said, she's written 100 books for children and 4 nonfiction books for women. We'll have to have her back and talk about the nonfiction books for women. That's for another show, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We set it here, we get it booked, and yes, let's focus on those women's books on another show. Absolutely.
Right. So she's a contributor to the Clubhouse magazine, and she also writes lyrics. So this is in addition to her books, like This is a powerhouse of a woman.
Yeah.
She also writes lyrics for children's piano music. And on the
Awesome.
flip side, she says that she and her husband enjoy spending time with their grown children, and she's been blessed with 7 grandchildren. So, shall we give Crystal a hearty, warm welcome to the show?
Yeah. So she's the best grandma.
Crystal, welcome
Wow.
to the show. So good to have you here
Oh,
today.
thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
That was awesome. Did you feel like you're walking down the aisle with the red carpet and the lights
Oh
and
my,
all your things?
what an introduction. Wow.
I know, I love
It's
it.
great.
And we say hello to Tim Son, who's watching us on Facebook all the way from Pennsylvania, because I'm in South
Hi,
Africa.
Tim. Yes,
And
you're in
Mary,
South
you're in
Africa.
Tennessee.
Yeah, and Crystal,
And
you
Crystal,
are.
I am in Michigan, so I'm not that far from Pennsylvania. We're in the same time zone.
There you go.
I just
Wow.
love that we can connect using live streaming from all over the
It's
globe.
great. It is great.
It's wonderful, wonderful. I mean, Mary and I have never. We've been running the show for almost 3 years. We've never met in person, but I feel as much as part of her family as she feels a part of mine. It's just
Absolutely.
amazing.
It is so amazing. So yeah, Crystal, let's jump right in, Brigetti. Go. Let's ask her
Yeah,
some questions.
I know. So I want to know, you've written 100 children's books. You were a preschool teacher. Did that sort of give you, I want to say, an unfair advantage? Did it influence you to?
I would not call it
You kind of had like an insider's scoop on kids.
I would not call it an unfair advantage, but I would call it great preparation. When I was teaching preschool, I realized how much I loved connecting with that age group. And those were the days before internet, before Google. And if I wanted a book or a song or a story or a poem, it meant going to the library. And we were living in Michigan at the time. My husband was a student at U of M. And on a snowy February evening, I didn't feel like going to the library, so I just started making up my own stuff. So I made up songs and stories and finger plays, and it was so fun to share, my own work with these children. And it made me realize that this was something I loved doing, and that being with those children gave me that instant feedback. Oh, they really like this. Oh, they did not respond to that at all. And then the teachers would, the other teachers would say, where are you getting this stuff? Let me borrow it. And I said, well, I'm just making it up. Can't you do that? And they said, well, no, we really can't. And then so I just kind of fell into it naturally. And it took a long time before it was 20 years later before I ever started writing for publication, but it definitely influenced me. It was a great foundation for what I needed.
That is awesome. I love that. And you know what, I can totally relate to you being a children's author. And I think the innocence of childhood and the preciousness of them, it does help our imaginations grow as well. Being adults, yes, we can kind of get into that mindset of a child and where their mind is and their little, everything is wonder,
Yeah.
And so it's so fun and so easy to make up things. And I get to practice every day with my 7-year-old. So I so treasure this time. I do want to ask you, in the vastness of all the books you've written, do you have a favorite set or book or series, or is that too hard to choose from?
Well, I get asked that question a lot. Everyone says, of all these books that you've written, which one is your favorite? And I always say the newest one that just came out, because it's so exciting. Right. But I had a holiday board book series that I published with Zondervan in the mid 2000s. And those books did extremely well, and that those books, there were 10 books in the series, and before those books came out, I got so tired of hearing, where are your books? I could never find your books. And when those books came out, 5 of the 10 were bestsellers. And it's not that I need big numbers, but it's like my career exploded. And all of a sudden, everybody knew my name. And all of a sudden, people are saying, oh, I see your books everywhere. So as far as the creativity, or even though I love those books, I just always go back to those books as being a real milestone in my career, because that's what made me more of a visible children's author.
How far into your career? Because that would be,
yeah,
authors need to know that. So how far into your career?
I started writing 1993 was when my first book came out. So we're talking 10 years. It was 10 years later before my books were starting to be recognized. And not that I didn't have good books before then, but this was the series that put my name out there, and that put me on the bestsellers list. And it opened so many doors, because then more other publishers are interested in having you write for them when they see the success of what you've done. But it took 10 years to get that far. I've been writing for almost 30 years.
Wow. That is a really, really long time. When is your best sort of time of the day to write? When do you kind of feel the most inspired to write?
Well, I'm a morning person, so I always try to do some writing in the morning. But writing for me, people ask what inspires you to write, I always say a deadline. Anytime I have a new project, I get so excited about it that I almost become obsessed with it. And I know there are times where I might write 12 hours, and then I just finally have to shut my computer off and give my brain a rest. So it's a lot of it depends on the current projects. If I have some projects with a tight deadline, then I really have to focus and put in those long hours. But without that, if I don't have a tight deadline, or if I'm in between projects and I'm just, trying to come up with new ideas or brainstorming, most of that is in the morning. But I also get a lot of ideas and work through verses and language in my head when I'm in bed, like when I'm falling asleep or waking up. And I've heard that's very common with other authors. It's like they're quiet, they're in their room, and they're not sleeping, but they don't want to get out of bed, and their mind just goes in gear. And some of my best ideas come when I'm in bed. So
yeah, I understand that.
That is amazing. So I want to know, what sparked the book I Love You to the Stars When Grandma Forgets, Love Remembers? There's just something about that title that grabs me, and so I want to know what's behind that book, and what is the message of that book?
Well, as the baby boomers are aging, dementia, Alzheimer's, those diseases are on the rise. Memory loss is on the rise. And I actually had a gentleman who was a professor who has numerous academic books that he's published, but he came to me through my agent, and he lost his wife at a very young age to a very advanced, vicious form of dementia. And he wrote an adult book about it and wove it into his memoir. But he had a friend who said, you need a children's book. You need a children's book on this topic. And he said, well, I don't know how to write a children's book. And he was actually very wise to say that, because a lot of people think writing for children is easy, and it's the hardest thing ever. And but anyway, he contacted me through my agent, and so we wrote a children's book. It's I Love You to the Stars When Grandma Forgets, Love Remembers. And it's it's inspired by a true story. And I had to learn a lot about the journey of Alzheimer's and how it works. And they had a dog. The dog's name was Sunny. And he said, I'm going to leave everything up to you and the illustrator, but he said, I want to make sure that Sunny gets in the book. And so this is actually from a photograph of Sunny, the dog Sunny. So the dog adds some warmth to it, but the story is just that a grandmother moves in with her daughter and grandson and eventually starts becoming forgetful, and she has to move to a home where they can care for her. And the message is that even though the relationship might change because of the disease, that the love is still there. And we actually have a few questions in the back of the book to encourage discussion on, everyone knows somebody who's been affected by this disease. And so one of the lines in the book that I love is when the mother explains to the son, she said, Grandma has always taken care of us. Now it's our turn to take care of her, and to show ways that you can still show love to that person, even though things have changed.
Wow. That kind of tugged at my heartstrings just a little bit, because we do have dementia in my family as well. But I watched this very heartwarming interview with a gentleman whose wife got dementia, and he used to walk miles. He's in the US, to go and visit his wife every single day, and he walked, come rain or sunshine. He walked to hospital. Not a people stopped to offer him a lift, and he said no. This was part of his journey to actually physically walk to the hospital every single day. And
That's
people said to me, she doesn't remember who you are. And he said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because I remember who she is, and that stuck with me. I thought that was so heartwarming,
right?
And so that the title of the book just evokes so much emotion. How did you decide on the title?
Well, I Love You to the Stars is from a little rhyme. When she would tuck her grandson in bed, she would say, I love you to Mars, I love you to the stars, I love you always wherever you are. And that was their little thing that they had. Well, then at the very end, when on one of the days when he goes to visit her in her assisted living home, she said, and when it's time to go, I give Grandma a hug and whisper in her ear, I love you to Mars, I love you to the stars, I love you always wherever you are. So then he returns the rhyme back to her that she used to give him. And but we felt it needed the subtitle, because I Love You to the Stars doesn't really tell what the book is about. So the subtitle, When Grandma Forgets, Love Remembers, that really sums up what the book is.
It sure does. And I think, if you're an author, if you're a new author, take a lesson from that, because that title tells a story in itself. And that's, I think, what I love about it.
It's so beautiful. And, this is a very important subject for children. I mean, I lost my father in 2019 to this disease, along with supranuclear palsy. My father-in-law passed away in August this past year. And for children, it's really devastating for them to watch their grandparent go from someone who recognizes them to someone that does not, because in our family, I've had my little guy experience it, as well as my older daughters, and they were with the grandparent longer, having that, having that normal life experience, and then as older children having to watch the decline. So a story like this, this is very important for children of all ages, to be able to have something that's comforting, that is, even talking about, death, which is very hard. There's been many conversations I've had with my 7-year-old, him trying to understand. We talked about somebody recently who, I don't know who it was, somebody in our family, an older person that was not doing well. And he said, did they die? And I said, no, baby. And he went, oh, phew. And I thought, gosh, I mean, even at his little age, it just weighs on him so heavy. I know that you've got so many other books that I just hope everyone will go and check out and find new books to love from you with their children. Carson and I have done a book review on your remind me, okay, help me with the story. I don't have the book right in front of me, but it's about mommies. And does everyone have a mommy? And that's, what is remind me the title, because it's not sitting right in front of me.
I don't know what book you're talking about.
Do animals have mommies?
Oh, yeah, to baby years. Do
Did baby bears
have mommies?
Yes. Did
Yes,
baby
yes.
bears have
I'm
mommies?
sorry.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No, I'm sorry too, because it's not right in front of me, and I meant to have it in front of me. But yes. So we wrote it. We talked about that, and that's such a sweet little story for children. I just love it. I
Do
love
bears
it.
have mommies? It's
Yeah.
really for the younger audience, more like your 2 to 4. Just little questions about animals and, why do cows say moo? And it's all in rhythm and rhyme. But
Yeah.
cows, when cows moo loudly, it's because the babies wander off. But then when the cows are there, then the moos are soft, are gentle and soft. And so it covers skunks and baby bears and cows and ladybugs are
Yes.
ladybugs girls or boys, and it's just fun and whimsical. It's fun and whimsical.
It's very cute. And we had fun with the skunk one,
Yeah.
because of course everyone always thinks skunks are stinky, but we're like, well, skunks have feelings too, they do. And skunks actually have mommies. So,
That's
yeah, we're going to be posting that soon. So we're going to, I want to touch for just a second, because you have written 4 adult books for women, and we want to have you back on, like we said, for those books. But can you tell us for just a minute, what do those focus on, the books that you have for women?
Well, 3 of them are out of print because I wrote, I've been writing for 30 years. So these go way back. I had one when the whole creative memories thing was popular, before you could make beautiful photograph books online from Snapfish. I did a book on preserving memories, how to preserve memories through journaling. And so that was a mom's guide to making memories last. I did a book called Meditations for Moms, and it's a collection of stories and poems and prayers for mothers. I did a local book called Amazing Women of West Michigan. That one was really fun to write. I interviewed 30 women. The publisher and the photographer are the ones who chose the women to be in that book. It was just to celebrate diversity and to celebrate women and the careers that they can now be accepted in. And then my newest one, this is the one that's still in print, it's called Mothers in Waiting, hope and encouragement for those with empty arms. And it's a collection of 30 stories of women ages 30 to 65 who have experienced infertility or miscarriage. It's to give hope to those who, and infertility is on the rise. And I don't know if it's environmental or because a lot of women are starting to have children later in life, but infertility is on the rise, and it's a very painful journey, and it's a very difficult topic. It's just not something you talk about with your friends at lunch. It's very private, it's very personal. And my daughter-in-law went through a 5-year journey, and she said, I want to do something to help women. And so we felt, rather than just share her story, which is only one story, we found 30 different women to share their stories. And again, from ages 30 to 65. And they all followed the same format. They have my story, my struggle, my strength, and my scripture. They ended with a Bible verse that encouraged them. So that book is still in print. It's published by Harvest House. And it's been a real source of hope and encouragement for mothers, family, or for women, and for families, couples who are struggling, on that journey.
Thank you for writing that.
That's amazing. We've got to wrap up in a minute. So, being the kind of amazing author that you are, and with the kind of experience that you have had with writing, is there one piece of advice that you could give to an aspiring author wanting to get into this space?
Yes. You have to attend a writer's conference. A lot of them now are virtual. If you want to write for children, SCBWI, that's the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, scbwi.org. You have to learn how to write a book. You have to learn how to write for children. You also have to learn all the subgenres. There's board books and picture books and beginning reader books and story books and and preschool picture books with rhythm, rhyme, and repetition. There's first chapter books, middle grade readers, young adult. You have to know all those subgenres so that you know where your idea is going to fit. And then you have to learn the specifics of how to write for that subgenre. And you can do some of that through, Googling and through books on writing, but the best resources to attend a writers conference, join SCBWI. That you have to learn. You have to be educated, just like you would never drive a car without first learning how to do it. It's the same thing with writing a book, even writing for children. You have to learn how to do it. And writers conferences not only help you do that, they have courses that you can take, but they're also the bridge. You meet with editors and agents and publishers. That's your bridge to breaking into publishing houses.
Wow, that's really, really, really good advice. You are the first person who has ever suggested that. They are a really, really good, it's a really good resource. I met, the local chapter here in Nashville about 3 years ago, and just a really great group of people. But yeah, it's like anything. If you want big muscles, you got to go to the gym and work out. That's or work out at home. You got to
exactly.
You got to keep working it out. So where can everybody find you?
My website is www.crystalbowman.com. It's just my name, CrystalBowman. I do have books available on my website, but they will take you to, Amazon or Barnes & Noble, christianbook.com. And then my publishers, Tyndale, Zondervan, Harvest House, Our Daily Bread for Kids. I've written several books. I have a lot of concept books, alphabet, counting, colors, numbers. There are Daily Bread for Little Hearts, and these are little concept books for toddlers. They're board books so that you can chew on them and spill your Cheerios, and the books should survive. The books are designed to survive a toddler. And then my newest one is My Arms Will Hold You Tight. And this is it's called an emotive board book. This is where it stimulates emotion between, parent and child. And of course, this one's all animals, cuddly, endearing animals. And it's just about the need for touching and holding and loving between a adult and child.
That's such a sacred time, reading with a child. The energy of it, the space of it, what it holds, what it represents is just, I don't know, there's just nothing like it in the whole world. It's just some of the sweetest time you can have with a child. So, if you don't have a child, become someone who goes and reads with children, because all kids really need that. And, research shows, data shows, the more children are read to, the higher their intelligence is, and the more they are lovers of reading and literature.
Absolutely.
And, so it's really important.
When I did some research before I wrote this book, and the relationship experts, I was shocked at this. Children need 4 hugs a day to survive. They need 8 hugs a day to be happy, and they need 12 hugs a day to thrive and to grow. And those hugs are, it's not just to say I love you. It stimulates their hormones, and it gives them security. It helps them to feel like they belong, and it allows them to thrive. And it's very, very important for children to be hugged, and to be hugged often.
Yeah, and that's
Crystal,
hard.
thank you so much. We're absolutely out of time. We have to say goodbye.
Thank you.
And we're going to have you back again. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Remember to write good stuff and be inspired one conversation at a time. And we'll see you back again on Tuesday. Goodbye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.